I think it's fair to say the car launches mark the unofficial start to the Formula 1 season, and 2021 has started off with a bang, for better and for worse. But in general, I think the grid is going to look incredible once all 20 cars line up in Bahrain under the lights for the first race of the season. We've had 2 new teams with brand new liveries to boast, as well as the all-time classics, but as usual, everyone's got an opinion as to which look best. So for this video, I will give my opinions and rank all the 2021 liveries. Now please remember that's all it is, an opinion, so if you differ in opinion, which I'm sure some of you will, make sure to be nice in the comments section and please let me know what your favourite liveries are, either in the comments or through my social media channels. So going straight into it, the team in last place picking up the wooden spoon probably won't come as a surprise to many of you. It's Williams. Now, I'll echo what Tomo said in his recent video about this car by saying, I don't like to slander the work that many designers have put so much effort into, but I should also share my honest opinion. And my honest opinion is that this is easily the worst livery I've seen in a long time. I'm sure if I looked into all the various teams in the 90s, I'll find one worse, but for now, this is it. So when looking at the car, my main bone to pick is there is no fluency and consistency in the design. It's almost as if the front and the back are 2 completely different cars. But looking at the front in isolation, it's not too bad. But why didn't Williams continue that design into the rear of the car rather than have it stop halfway through? Instead, they completely changed the whole design profile for the rear, which in itself doesn't really work. You've got the almost vertical lines which go against the natural aerodynamic flow of the car, which is always an indication of a subpar livery, as well as the Williams and Lavazza logos being cramped where the air intake is. And what is that black box at the bottom? Look, I get that Williams might crash a bit, but I think a black box is a bit far. Look, I love Williams and want nothing more than to see them succeed, which is why this really disappointed me. Okay, I'm just going to say that from this point on, I don't actively dislike any of the liveries coming up. It's more that I just don't like them as much, if that makes sense. So, coming in 9th place is the Mercedes. Now, the reason this car is so low down is purely because there are so many strong liveries this year that deserve more of a nod. I don't hate this livery like many people do, but I also don't particularly like it. I think the general feeling is kind of underwhelmed, I guess, because last year's last-minute black livery was stunning, so with more time, they'd maybe come up with something better. But they just missed it, mainly because of one thing, and I think you can guess what it is. Look, ignoring this bit, I think the car looks really nice contrast with the Mercedes teal and black, just like last year, but it's just that back end of the engine cover that ruins it for me. It just looks like the blackboard in the detention room in The Simpsons, where Bart is forced to rewrite the same thing like 50 times. It just doesn't work for me. The stars looked brilliant as they were, but as Zach from the Apex said in his video, the reason they've done this is to promote the AMG side of the company, which does make sense, and by us talking about it so much, their goal has been achieved. But that doesn't change the fact that this livery could be better. So the livery that I've put in 8th place isn't completely fair, but this is the punishment for putting something so ugly on what is an iconic car. If you hadn't guessed already, I'm talking about Ferrari. So for this list, I'm addressing the livery that they unveiled, meaning this one. But I am fully aware that when the car actually gets on track for the first race, this abomination won't actually be on the car. Right, so looking at the actual car, I think without the mission winnow, bogey, vomit, whatever you want to call it, I think it's actually really nice. I've been waiting forever for Ferrari to return to the deeper red that they ran in the 80s, and they've teased me a bit by making the rear of the car slightly darker, so respect to Ferrari for pushing the boat out a bit. I think it's pretty nice in general. The only reason I've put it so low down is purely because of this, which is fair enough in my eyes. Right, so next up in 7th place is the McLaren. Now, a bit like the Mercedes, by all means I don't hate this livery at all. I actually quite like it. But because the livery game has been so strong this year, and it's the exact same one as last year, pretty much, it's been bumped down to 7th place. I mean, I was quite disappointed that they hadn't changed it up, but after all, if it works, then there's no point changing it, and McLaren are the first ones to admit this. By this, I mean they ran the iconic Marlboro livery for 15 years with no change from 1981 to 1996, and we get frustrated with Red Bull. You can tell that McLaren are trying to find their own new signature livery, much like the Marlboro or the Vodafone ones, and to be honest, it's a pretty nice one to go for. Let's just hope it's quick too. So in 6th place comes the ever controversial Haas car. Now, while this is blatantly a Russian flag on a white car, it does look quite nice. All I'm thinking is if it was a slightly different colour scheme with the stripes, then everyone would love it, because as it is blatantly supporting Mazepin, so people have not really drawn to it. But the livery just works, the proportions are great, the Russian stripes flow nicely with the natural aerodynamics of the car, and the black carbon bottom section is just big enough to fit their 5 sponsors. And those numbers on the back give the car a really nice retro feel, much like the numbers on the cars from the 1960s. So all round, it's a pretty nice car. It won't be fast, but at least it'll look nice. I might even go as far as saying it's Haas's best livery yet, but that gold and black was a stunner to be fair. Moving on into 5th place, we have the Alfa Tauri. Some of you might be shocked this isn't higher up, and the only reason I've put it lower down is because while it is an awesome looking car, it's not perfect, and with a few tweaks, it could have been an absolute beauty. So looking at the car, you've got that lovely pinstripe going along the whole car, which looks brilliant. I really like it, but it's too low down for me. That pinstripe should really be a bit higher, almost following the top of the car. To explain what I mean, let's take a look at Tomo's redesign, because he nailed this. You can see it's just so much more sleek and refined than the actual car. And also with that pinstripe bit at the back where it flows up quite sharply here, I don't think that really works and should have been kept lower down, but there you go. But, ignoring the pinstripe, I stumbled across a version of this livery that looks so much better, and it seemed everyone agreed with me too. Here it is. All this is the 2 colours inverted. Now, doesn't that look beautiful? The darker blue at the bottom works so much better with the black carbon and wheels, and the pinstripe just makes so much more sense with this. Let me know what you think of this one in the comments, but I gotta say, this is a missed opportunity from Alfa Tauri. So as we push into the top 4, 4th place might surprise you a bit. I've gone for Red Bull. Now of course, this is the exact same livery as last year's, and the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that, but it remains one of the nicest liveries on the grid. I mean, when you think about it, the majority of the timeless classics have been the liveries that are repeated year after year. The McLaren Marlboro springs to mind, Renault Mild 7, Williams Martini, and the Red Bull is just the same. But when actually looking at the design of the car, Red Bull just have it sorted. Now, I don't usually like matte liveries because I love the glossy cars, especially under the lights at night races, but the Red Bull is one exception in my opinion. Everyone can agree it would just look wrong if it was glossy. And the navy blue, red and yellow are all brilliantly balanced as usual, making this one of my favourite liveries in general. So yeah, nothing I would change about it really. So, taking the 1st place on the podium in 3rd place is the stunning Alfa Romeo. So looking back at the first Alfa Romeo Sauber livery in 2018, I thought it was really nice, partly because it was so simple, but mainly because of that rear. And ever since they've evolved the livery, adding details here or there, but still remaining a really nice design all round. But for 2021, they've switched it up a bit and played around a bit more with the white and the dark red. And boy does it look good. I feel going for a white base and adding the red accents here and there works much better than having the big red portion like before. And that Alfa Romeo logo on the engine cover couldn't have been done better. Once again, the use of that pinstripe is brilliant, and the size and spacing of the sponsors is spot on. And the cherry on top is that green Alfa Romeo 4-leaf clover, just to bring it all together. So yeah, Alfa have smashed it out of the park with this one, and I can't wait to see it racing under the lights in Bahrain. So we are into the top 2, and the runner-up is the Aston Martin. Now interestingly, I was convinced that the Aston was actually my favourite ahead of a certain French car in the top spot. But having watched testing in Bahrain, I actually changed my mind, because while I think the Aston is still stunning, that Alpine on track looks stupendous. So back to the Aston, I'm generally a bit of a sucker for British racing green, but especially Aston's slightly turquoise green, so no matter what it looked like, I was bound to like it. But the moment I saw this car, I instantly fell in love with it. I was initially quite doubtful regarding how they would use the BWT pink on the car, because those two colours really don't match. but they somehow made it look pretty good. Yes, of course I would have preferred those details to be lime green, but they did pretty well with what they had. And yes, it does look like a carbon copy of the teal Mercedes swoosh, but that definitely was the best route to go down. Now, a lot of people actually don't like this livery either because they don't like the British racing green, or they think it's quite simple and boring, which is fair enough, and if you prefer more detailed cars, then you're bound not to like this. But for me, I feel if they added anything more, it would just look a bit messy. The only critique I have for this car really annoys me, and that's the numbers. They are just pretty awful, aren't they? And so, the livery taking the top spot for my favourite of 2021 is the Alpine. As I said just before, this initially was my second favourite, but having seen it on track, I actually changed my mind. So for the 2021 season, Renault decided to rebrand as Alpine, who have a decent motorsport history in their own right. And so, with this new branding comes a brand new livery, and boy does it look good. We kind of knew what it would look like based on their slightly random provisional livery that was released around Christmas time, but that didn't take anything away from how nice this livery is. That quite shiny, almost metallic blue looks incredible under the lights, and then with the red at the back with the Alpine logo, it just looks awesome. But there are little details here and there that take this from a nice livery to an instant classic. Things like the horizontal lines at the back similar to the McLaren, that French flag on the nose, and especially the French flags on the front wing and rear wing end plates. All in all, it looks brilliant. And with Le Coq Sportif doing the team wear, all round I think Alpine win it for team aesthetics. Well, there you have it. That's my take on all the 2021 F1 liveries from worst to best. But enough talking about what I think of them. Let me know in the comments section below what your order is, and if any of you have the exact same one as me. Besides, whatever order people choose, what we know for sure is these are going to look incredible racing against each other in Bahrain. Thanks for watching, let me know in the comments section below what your rank is, and as always, make sure to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell to be reminded of any new videos.